The New England Patriots may have stood pat at the trade deadline, but there's still a lot of work to be done in Foxborough based on their performance against the Titans last Sunday. Stick around. You're about to be locked in to the Locked On Patriots podcast.
You are Locked On Patriots, your daily New England Patriots podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello to all of you Foxborough faithful, and thank you once again for making Locked On Patriots a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage. I'm your host, Mike Debate. I cover your New England Patriots for the Patriots country. You can find me on X at MDABATENFL. Also, while you're out there showing some love to Locked On Patriots social media style, please follow our account there as well at LO_Patriots. And Pats fans, remember, today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use the code, all lowercase, LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. And Pats fans, we are still feeling the sting of the Pats' 20-17 loss to the Tennessee Titans on Sunday, falling to 2-7 on the season. And unfortunately, it was a bitter pill to swallow, especially after New England came within an eyelash of making this a heroic effort on the part of rookie quarterback Drake Maye. Offense continues to sputter a little bit around Drake, and the defense kind of fell back to earth a little bit. That's what we're going to talk about here today. After all, it's Wednesday, and that means grade report day for your New England Patriots. And joining me here today to provide those grades and lend his wisdom, counsel, and reason to the show, as he always does, columnist extraordinaire at PatsFans.com, my good friend and Patriots Paisan, Steve Balestrieri. Steve, welcome back to Locked On Patriots. Always an honor to host you, buddy.
Always an honor to be here, my friend. It's always a great day to talk football. I don't care what the weather is or what the score was. You know, it's always a good day when we can talk about football and, you know, take a little break from all this election overload we've been getting for months.
Very, very true. Sports sometimes is the great equalizer, and it can serve as a nice distraction, regardless of what side of the fence you fall on, folks. We're here for you. We're going to keep it focused on football today, and we are going to grade your New England Patriots offensively and defensively. But, Steve, before we do that, the trade deadline in the NFL has come and gone. Ironically, 4 p.m. on Election Day of all days, November 5th, the New England Patriots did not elect to make a move on deadline day. They did make a trade last week, sending linebacker Joshua Uche over to the Kansas City Chiefs in exchange for a conditional 6th-round pick in 2026. But the Patriots were surrounded by rumors all day, but just nothing materialized. We heard a lot of names supposedly on the block, from Kyle Duggar to Jonathan Jones to Devon Godchaux to a few wide receivers, including Tyquan Thornton and KJ Osborne, which almost looked like it was a foregone conclusion. A lot of people thought he was packing his bags, heading to Los Angeles to become a new member of the Chargers. None of that materialized. Steve, the Patriots are essentially saying right now that coming together as a team is their goal for this week. And one of the big things about a team kind of rebounding after a tough loss or a disheartening loss is having strong leadership in the locker room to help guide them through that process. In your estimation, because you always take things with a reasonable approach, that's why we call you our resident voice of reason, and we need some reason here on Locked On Patriots. Do you believe that it was leadership that took a role in keeping some of these players, some of these veterans here in New England, or do you think it was simply just the Patriots could not get the asking price they were looking for?
I think it might have been just a tad bit of both. You know, I said last week on social media that, you know, a lot of people were saying trade everybody, start from scratch. And I was like, that is a very bad move to make. Because when you're trying to rebuild, you identify the guys that you believe are your core players. And all the guys you mentioned, with the exception of Osborne and Tyquan Thornton, they're all core guys that the Patriots just paid to stick around. Now, we don't know if Jonathan Jones will re-sign here or whatnot, but, you know, some of the things that I had heard through the grapevine, and you and I know a lot of the same people, was they were getting like late 6th or 7th round draft pick offers for, Jonathan Jones and Godchow, and I wouldn't trade that guy for that.
Right.
Especially these are your key guys. Right now, they're having trouble stopping the run. Why would you trade your best run stuffer for a 6th or 7th round draft pick? There's no way I would do that.
Mm.
And when you're rebuilding, you need those veteran guys in the locker room. Maybe not as much even on the field, but you need those guys on the sideline in the locker room so they can ease the younger guys' transition into the pro game. And I think all of these guys fit that. So I thought it was a smart move. I was hoping that they weren't going to be complete sellers. I figured they might move a couple of the wide receivers since they have so many. I was actually hoping they'd be buyers at the trade deadline. That was my hope. Not saying go for the gusto, but pick up a couple of guys, offensive or defensive linemen, maybe a linebacker. I'm not so much a wide receiver, and I know they need him desperately, but I'd rather have younger guys back there, and none of the younger guys were for sale.
That's a very, very good point. And I think that you look at a team like the Chicago Bears, or the Patriots will see this week, and their acquisition of Montez Sweat last year, a team that was out of contention but saw an opportunity to bring in an impact player on defense, went and bought, and now he's in Chicago for the foreseeable future. So you look at the Patriots and you say, yeah, if they're going to buy, that's the type of move to make. I just don't think there was a move like that to be made in Tuesday's trade deadline, especially this year, for given what was available. And I can confirm that's exactly what I've been hearing by people that I know very close to the team, saying that late day 3, if those are the offers that the Patriots were getting, yeah, they did the right thing by standing pat. And look, Gerard Mayo kind of echoed those sentiments when we had a chance to speak with him on Wednesday morning. He said, look, I know Elliott and the staff have contacted multiple teams. Multiple teams contacted us. It's about thinking about the present and trying to get better in the future. Sometimes you have to stand pat to win. And maybe that's what the New England Patriots see here, an opportunity to get guys like Jonathan Jones, to get guys like Kyle Duggar re-engaged and help them build for the future by helping build some of these young guys that they have on this team and mentor them to be everything they can be. Clearly, in that wide receiver room, there are square pegs trying to be fit into round holes. You look at Tyquan Thornton, you start to maybe think that they have designs on either moving him or moving on from him at some point. KJ Osborne came with a lot of pedigree and a lot of praise from Minnesota, but just has not looked like the typical fit that we expected him to be in Alex Van Pelt's offense. I know the trade deadline has come and gone, but releases are still able to be done. Can you see either one of those players maybe on the chopping block here in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think you could possibly see both of them being released at some point. And we don't know. I mean, there might have been a conversation with Osborne where the team says, hey, such and such a team is, looking to add you. And he was like, I really don't want to play for them. And they're going to do him a solid by releasing him after the fact and letting him find the place where he wants to go.
Yeah, I think so. If I'm looking at this objectively, I'm thinking that Osborne may be the more likely of the case to be released. He's a veteran guy, came in, not really a great fit right now. It doesn't seem like either side is overly happy with the other. They're tolerating each other. I think they're saying and doing the right things right now. But I think it might be beneficial for a clean break. I'd be a little more hesitant right now to release Thornton. And I know a lot of Patriots fans are going to hear that and they're going to roll their eyes and say he's terrible. He hasn't materialized. Look, that may indeed be the case, folks. He may need a fresh start, change of scenery, and that may be the best thing for him at this point. But when he is able to stretch the field and you give him an opportunity to utilize that perimeter, one of the fastest players I've ever had the opportunity to cover, you can't just manufacture that type of speed and expect it to be there when you need it, and you need to dial it up. So if the Patriots can keep him around, he's still on a rookie deal. You're not wasting an entire amount of money by letting him go, or saving that much by letting him go and releasing him. Try to see what you can get out of the kid, and maybe there is something that can be had at the end of the year. then you have a legitimate conversation. And then if you're looking to move on from Taekwon at that point and utilize that roster spot, I think I'd be much more amenable to it. But if you're looking at releases during the season, I'd say Osborne is a little more likely at this point, folks, than Taekwon Thornton. Steve, again, not much of an eventful trade deadline for the New England Patriots, although we did discuss the Uche deal and what it meant for the Kansas City Chiefs and what it meant for the New England Patriots last week when you joined us here. I am going to put you on the hot seat, my friend, before we switch gears and open up your grade report and you provide your Dean Wormer-like assessment of the New England Patriots' performance against the Tennessee Titans. Did the Patriots make the right move here at the trade deadline? Do you believe that standing pat was the most prudent course of action given their position?
Yeah, I mean, standing pat with, getting rid of your veteran players, I agree with that. I mean, again, you just mentioned it. The offers they were getting for these guys, I mean, to me, they weren't worth getting rid of a guy just to cut his salary. I mean, they have oodles of money. So it's not like, you're trying to save a buck here or a buck there for the off season. I mean, they have boatloads of money to spend next year. So, I'd rather keep those veteran guys around. The only thing I said, and, we know they called people, as you said, Gerard Mayo said that this morning, but I was hoping they were going to add a couple of pieces and, specifically in the trenches, which I think they really, really need help right now.
Don't forget, there is also the possibility that the Patriots may make 3 mid to late season additions that could end up acting like acquisitions, and that is the imminent returns, it looks like, of Christian Barmore, Cole Strange, Caden Wallace. All of these players right now, folks, are expected to make a return at some point this year. Gerard Mayo confirmed they would not be on the field and practicing on Wednesday. I can confirm they were not on the field on Wednesday, but are we getting closer? Yeah, there's a possibility. So keep a sharp eye out, folks, because the additions of players like Barmore and Strange and Wallace could end up curing what is wrong with this New England Patriots team, especially when it comes to poor play along the offensive and defensive lines. Speaking of poor play, I think it's about time that Steve put on his professor cap and join us to provide his grade report for the New England Patriots 20-17 loss to the Tennessee Titans in Week 9. Quarterback looked solid, but the rest of the positions still look like they're on double secret probation. We're going to find out from Steve exactly what the grades were for the offense as well as the defense. So keep it right here, folks. You're not going to want to miss a single second of the action when we continue right here on the Locked On Patriots podcast, a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hey, Pats fans, remember our great partner, Ultimate Pro Football GM? Well, they're back, and they've added an amazing new game mode I can't wait to tell you about. The game that has you step into the shoes of a football franchise GM and lead it to glory now has a new head coach career mode. So on top of getting to build your dynasty by drafting players, signing free agents, and hiring a coaching staff, now also gives you the chance to get to call offensive plays during games as well. Additionally, you'll dig the new tools you can work with, such as individual training camps and an upgraded negotiation system. So this fun and realistic game just got a whole lot better. If you have already installed, be sure to do an update so you can try out the new mode. If you don't have it yet, download it right now. It's a must-have for all football fans. I love it, and I know you will too. Ultimate Pro Football GM is completely free, has no ads, and is 100% playable offline, so you can play on the go as you want and when you want to. And here's a special offer for Locked On fans. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL, all caps, inside the game store to receive a free boost to your franchise. Make sure to get it, as this perk will jumpstart your play and give you the advantage you'll want in creating a dynasty. To download the game, just visit ultimate-gm.com, ultimate-gm.com, or look it up on the app stores. Ultimate Pro Football GM. Start your dynasty today. Listen up, Locked On listeners. When it comes to daily fantasy sports, Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. And what I love most about Prize Picks is that it puts its members first. So all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. And when you sign up today, you get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup when downloading the app today and using the code LOCKEDONNFL. Prize Picks. Run your game. Patriots fans, thank you once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots. And if you have made us your first listen today, we thank you. And a special tip of the cap to all of you everydayers that continue to make Locked On Patriots possible. Folks, if you've made us your first listen, we implore you to make your second listen our good friends over at Locked On NFL. Not just once, but twice per day, Locked On NFL comes at you with all the major storylines across the Shield. In the morning, my good friend Tyler Rowland, the host of Locked On Titans that you heard last week here on the crossover, he's got you set for the morning in the Madman Show. And in the afternoon, another great man, another good friend of mine, the host of Locked On Jaguars, Tony Wiggins, as you sit down in the barbershop for some interesting conversation. As always, Locked On NFL, just like Locked On Patriots, is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And joining us here today to help grade your New England Patriots 20-17 loss to the Tennessee Titans on Sunday in Week 9 is our good friend, our resident voice of reason, and our midweek professor here on Locked On Patriots, Steve Balestrieri. Steve, we talked about the deadline, the trade deadline, and the Patriots' reluctance or hesitance to make a move at the deadline. But there was clearly a need for this team to upgrade, whether it be upgrade in personnel or whether it be upgrading in performance. The Patriots, for the most part on Sunday, did not look like a team that had learned a whole lot from their Week 8 victory over the New York Jets. So I think now it becomes incumbent upon the Patriots to evaluate where they are and then move forward. And the easiest way to do that is to take a look at their performance, their most recent performance against the Titans. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball because the Patriots had a chance to make this one pretty interesting based on the legs, based on the arms, and based on the exciting playmaking ability of one Drake Maye. When you look at the quarterback position, Steve, obviously heading into this game, we were wondering whether or not Drake was going to even be able to suit up. Cleared from concussion protocol just the day before. Didn't look like he was any worse for the wear. He looked like he was in it to win it. Makes an incredible play, 11.82 seconds of scrambling and evading defenders before he's able to find Ramondre Stevenson, and the Patriots tie the game, but then a backbreaking interception to end the game in overtime. Overall, how would you say Drake Maye performed? Is this a performance more for the future, or what can the Patriots learn from the present here about their young caller?
Well, one, I mean, yeah, you hit the nail on the head right away with this. I mean, you know, he just came off a concussion protocol. I'm thinking he might be a little tentative to run today, which would be completely understandable. I'm sure his coaches said that. And then the first play from scrimmage, boom, he takes off for like a 26-yard gain and does not slide. He goes head first, which gave me a semi-heart attack. But at the same time, I was like, this guy isn't worried about anything. And, you know, what we saw at the end of the game was, to me, the second best play of the entire week. The other one being Saquon Barkley, which I just saw that. And I just went, oh, my God.
Yeah, it's almost inhuman. It really was remarkable. I mean, really, really amazing.
To vault a guy running backwards, I mean, who would have thought that? But anyway, back to the Patriots. I thought that play at the end of regulation was one of those plays where, you know, we're seeing these type of things every week, and he's building on it. And, you know, every week I'm more convinced that they got the guy that they need. When they drafted him in April, all of his positives came to show on that one play. I mean, he has incredible athleticism. He keeps his eyes down the field, and the kid doesn't get rattled. You look at him after a bad play, he looks deadpan. After a great play, he looks deadpan. He's just like, okay, we did that. Now we're moving on to the next play. And, of course, when they score a touchdown, he celebrates like everybody else. But other than that, I mean, I think this guy is absolutely phenomenal. And, unfortunately, the team didn't do right by him with the rest of your offensive guys, except the tight end position. I thought running backs were very lackluster, and I know that Ramondre scored 2 touchdowns, and we'll get into that in a minute. But they weren't able to generate anything, and a lot of that goes to the offensive line, because I believe that Evan Lazar posted that they were averaging -3 yards before contact, which is telling you they're getting hit deep in the backfield, and it's tough for the running backs to do that. But I looked at Maye's game overall: 29 of 41, only 206 yards. That was because he was running for his life, basically for half the game. But 8 rushes, all on scrambles, for 95 yards. I mean, he was the best player on the team for both teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And, he made a couple of mistakes. That first interception was very, very bad throw, indecision. And those are things, you're going to have to live with a rookie quarterback. The thing that upset me was that the second interception in overtime, he threw, it was on first down for 1, so there was no need to force it. But when I looked at the play after the game on the All-22 film, I was watching, Butte had a step on the defender. And then on the other side of the field, Kendrick Bourne fell down. He lost his footing and fell. And the safety in the middle immediately started cutting toward Butte, because that was Maye's only play. Hindsight being 2020, maybe he shouldn't have thrown that ball. Again, that's a learning thing. But then he said after the game that he should have put more on it because the wind was a factor. And that was the thing that was not his fault, because they lost the coin toss and they should have taken the wind, but they did not. And I don't understand why in the world you wouldn't do that, but that affected your quarterback's throw. If he's throwing with the wind, we might be talking about a different outcome.
I think it's definitely possible. And look, Drake proves in the closing seconds of regulation that he is more than capable of leading this team and giving them an opportunity not only to win games, but also to give them the win, to hand them the win. He did everything he needed to do. Yeah, there's no question about it. He would absolutely love to have that throwback. His first interception, like you said, I think he'd love to have that one back. The strip sack. We can't forget that there were turnover and rookie-worthy moments in which Drake Maye did look like a quarterback still in need of some development. But overall, when you look at the poise, you look at the leadership ability, the way his teammates are rallying around him and buying into everything he's doing on the football field, I agree with you. It becomes more and more clear each and every week that the New England Patriots have the guy. They got the right one, and I don't think quarterback play is going to continue to be a problem here in New England for any time longer. I think they found their solution there. But you've mentioned the supporting cast around him, and of course the offensive line. Steve, earned your Dean Wormer 0.0 for the week. When you look at the supporting cast around Drake Maye, how dismal is it in your estimation, and what can the Patriots do to better themselves?
Yeah, I mean, it's again, I ding the running backs, but they have to get a little bit more support. That, when you're averaging -3 yards before contact, I mean, what does that tell you? They're getting so penetrated up front that your running backs are getting hit deep in the field. And I probably shouldn't have. But again, I mean, 12 carries for 15 yards isn't getting it done. Yeah. And the wide receivers, again, I think Kendrick Bourne is finally starting to, get back to where he should be.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Physically. I thought he had a pretty good game, 4 catches, 41 yards. He seems to be moving better. And it takes a while. I mean, we all know that. I mean, when you tear an ACL, it's not, 6 months and, back to where you were. It takes a while.
Yeah, right.
But again, Jalen Polk, I don't know what's going on with him. I mean, he was only targeted once. And he only played 9 snaps. And, he during those 9 snaps, he had 2 penalties. I don't know. I mean, if there's one, and I know we're kind of grasping at straws here, but, we got to find some sunshine here, right? Javon Baker, he ran 2 routes, deep routes. And he was open on both of them. But both times, the penetration from the pass rush of the Titans, which was very good.
It was.
All game long. Forced Maye to either scramble or dump it off, for a check down. But, perhaps there's something more there. I mean, we talked about, a deep, threat type of thing with Thornton. Maybe they should give him a little more looks next week, because the 2 reps that I saw, he was open on both of them. So Hunter Henry remains your most consistent guy on the field. And again, it wasn't, world beater numbers, but 7 catches, 56 yards on 8 targets. That's all you can ask for from a tight end. The guy, when his number is called, he's so reliable. And if it wasn't for him right now in the passing game, I shudder to think what it would look like.
Yeah, very good point. And again, when you're looking at the supporting cast, folks, when you're looking at what the Patriots need around Drake in order to be able to succeed, yeah, I think the finger can be pointed at a number of positions. Like Steve said, obviously, there are issues when it comes to the receivers and that group. There are definitely issues when it comes to the offensive line. The 8th combination in as many weeks has not been the consistent protection that Drake does need. And New England's quarterback has the ability to utilize his athleticism to mask some of the problems, because that could have been a lot worse with more of a stationary quarterback. And folks, offensively, the Patriots are going to have to make some adjustments without any question, because a fearsome Chicago Bears pass rush is on the horizon for the New England Patriots this week. But before we move ahead to the Bears, it's going to be incumbent upon us to give a grade for the Patriots defense. We're going to talk about the defense against the Titans when this episode of the Locked On Patriots podcast wraps up right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Locked On listeners, get ready to tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Let your New England fandom work for you by visiting FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win with your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Pats fans, thank you once again for joining us here today on Locked On Patriots as we put a cap on the week that was here in Foxborough and a 20-17 loss to the Tennessee Titans in Week 9. Week 10 matchup with the Chicago Bears on the horizon, but not before we provide our final grades. And luckily for us, here today to provide those grades is our resident professor here on Locked On Patriots, my good friend Steve Balestrieri, who had some complimentary things to say about the New England Patriots quarterback in the previous segment. The rest of the offense, yeah, not so much. They really didn't make the grade. It was kind of a Dean Wormer firing squad. A lot of Hoovers, a lot of D-Days, a lot of Dorfmans, not a whole lot of, top level performance, Steve. But when we take a look at the defense, because a lot of people have been mixed on the defense, I was a little bit harsh on them on Monday and said I thought that they were a big cause as to why the New England Patriots were not able to win. I understand that this Tennessee Titans offense is not world beaters, but that's still a relatively decent performance. When you look at this team, let's start with the front seven. Let's start up front with the defensive line and the linebackers. How would you assess the Pats' performance on Sunday against the Titans?
Like you, after the game, I started my notes on the game, and I was very harsh on the defense. Then I rewatched it 2 times. Don't ask me why, but I rewatched it 2 times, and I came away. The defense didn't play great by any stretch of the imagination, but they weren't as bad as I originally thought, because I was watching the way the game developed. Stopping the run was a big issue once again. And again, I mean, you're missing Christian Barmore, Jawan Bentley, Peppers and Duggar. I mean, those are 4 of your best 5 players, number 1 being Gonzalez, on the football team, defensively.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really difficult to lose all that, across the board, from defensive line, linebacker, secondary. And especially with the way Duggar and Peppers are so active on the defense. I just, and I have to take that into consideration. So, I'm looking at it. They struggled, since Cincinnati. Tennessee was running the ball, and, setting the edge was a problem again. And at first I was even going down on one of my favorite players is Anthony Jennings, because I know he got caught crashing down once, and they broke a play to the outside for very good yardage. But when I rewatched the game, I think, I was too harsh on him. I was watching, the way he played, and I thought he did a much better job. But the edge was still an issue for them, as well as, up the middle. And, the defensive line, to me, and the linebackers get a C-, because they did make some plays out there. I thought Dietrich Wise, 4 tackles, a sack, tackle for loss, 2 quarterback hits. It wasn't that bad. The issue I had is they got tired at the end of overtime, or at the end of regulation. And when the Titans got the ball in overtime, they went 13 plays down to the Patriots' 7-yard line. 8 of them were runs. And honestly, if Mason Rudolph doesn't bobble that snap, I think Drake Maye wouldn't have even seen the ball.
When you look at a team right now that is struggling the way it is offensively, there are a lot of reasons why the Patriots are struggling offensively. We went into a lot of them in the previous segment. Defensively, that team needs to do a better job of stepping up, even though it may be a little unfair to ask them to carry the load each and every week, all of the time. You knew that coming in when you have a rookie quarterback, that a defense needs to step it up. So I think in that regard, the New England Patriots still do look at this front 7 right now and say they need to step up against the run. Tony Pollard was still able to find areas where he could beat this team and really keep them on their heels. And it always shows in the stat column, Steve. That's the ultimate equalizer. So the Patriots need to do a much better job in that area. I completely agree. When it comes to the secondary, once again, Christian Gonzalez drawing the unenviable task, I guess we'll say, of defending Calvin Ridley, Agent Zero versus Agent Zero. I think he did a fairly good job of being able to keep him in check. As far as the supporting cast around Christian right now, I think there are guys that do need to step it up a little bit. Marte Mapu had to come out of the game for a little bit. He ended up coming back in, but he got shaken up a little bit. How would you say the secondary fared for the most part against this Titans offense?
Yeah, I think again, C minus. It was C minus across the board. I thought Gonzalez did a really good job of covering Ridley for much of the game. He covered him, I think it was said, for 24 snaps. He caught 3 passes, 54 yards. Not great, but not bad. That was pretty good. The problem I had, and I wasn't sure why they were playing zone so much. And it's not like Rudolph is like a big running threat. I mean, he's mobile, but he's not a running threat. And when they played zone, Rudolph ate them up.
He did.
Yeah. And I'm worried about that this coming week because they do have a very mobile quarterback that they're facing. We'll get into that maybe in a minute. But, if they play zone, I didn't think they were very effective at all. I thought, when they played man, I think, Rudolph was only averaging about 5.5 yards a throw, that's very good. You'll take that all day long. So, the secondary wasn't great, but at the same time, maybe the scheme was a little off for them matching up this week. But, I do think, Marcus Jones needs to step up his game a little bit. I was surprised Jonathan Jones's snaps were way down, and it could have possibly been they thought that a trade was imminent there.
Yeah, it could have been a possibility without any question. And look, I don't think they'll have that problem this week when they face the Chicago Bears. As you said before, Steve, they're facing a mobile quarterback that will present a whole host of challenges when it comes to this New England Patriots team. And folks, keep it right here on Locked On Patriots because we will be breaking down this matchup between the Patriots and the Bears coming to you from Soldier Field in Chicago. Going to be a fun one out there in the Windy City this weekend. But in the meantime, I want to give a tip of the cap, a major thanks to my good friend, my Patriots Paisan, our resident voice of reason, and our midweek professor here on Locked On Patriots, Steve Balestrieri. Steve, what can I say? Thank you for your wisdom, your counsel, your grades. Please let all of our fans know where they can reach out to you, interact with you, and what you got marinating in La Cucina Balestrieri between now and next week when we welcome you back to the pod.
It's a deep dive into the Bears and looking for ways that they could possibly win in an upset. I mean, the talk this week has been coming together as a team. So, they lose to arguably the worst team in the league on Sunday. Then they come back and beat the Bears. Wouldn't that be, so typical of this season? But we'll be doing a deep dive on the Bears. You can follow me on Twitter at SteveB7SFG. I write for PatsFans.com. I'm on other social media at Steve Balestrieri. And I wore this shirt for you today, WWP.
Absolutely.
WW Paisans.
Absolutely. That's right. I love it. I knew the P stood for Paisan. And you know what, folks? It can stand for Patriots as well. Yeah. Steve is both, and he is both at the highest level you could possibly hope for. So thank you, my friend, for your friendship and for all of your contributions to Locked On Patriots. And folks, thank you all for continuing to make Locked On Patriots a daily part of your New England Patriots coverage. Crossover Thursday coming at you tomorrow. Locked On Patriots and Locked On Bears. Make sure to stay tuned. And all week long, we'll be continuing to break down the Bears matchup. And we might even have a little more financial insight for you when it comes to the Patriots and the trade deadline. We're talking finances. You know who's coming on, folks. I don't need to tell you his name. You know it. Our good friend, the Pats Cap, will be joining us as well. So keep it right here and locked in to Locked On Patriots. In the meantime, on behalf of my good friend Steve Balestrieri, I'm Mike Debate, reminding all of you to stay safe, to stay well, to be the change you wish to see in the world. Have a great day, everyone, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow on Locked On Patriots.